Hey guys, welcome to our Celebrate Recovery virtual experience of our mini lesson. We are definitely looking forward to reuniting and being in person together before you know it. But while we are waiting, we wanted to put out some small moments of our SEER experience so that we can just tide ourselves over until we're able to get back together again. So we have a worship video that will be out there, and we have this mini lesson for this week that will be out there as well. And of course, if you are interested in joining us for our open share groups, please email me at jonathan.norman@heartland.cc to get included in that process as well. So we're just kind of piecing together some bits to help us stay connected, and this is one of those bits. So today, our mini lesson is focused on facing COVID-19. So these are just some observations that I have made in my own journey here that I wanted to share with you and encourage you with today on how do we face COVID-19. So there's three things that we're going to talk about today. The first is we need to face our friends, we need to face our feelings, and we need to face our fears. So facing our friends, feelings, and fears, that's our topic for today. I'm a grateful follower of Jesus Christ who struggles with codependency, and my name is Jonathan. And I am excited to share with you how facing these things has helped me so far through this process. So the first is facing your friends. This is a point that I keep making, that many people are making, because it's a very important point. We have to stay connected. We have to, connect with our friends, with our families, with our teams, our support teams. It's really critical for this season. We can't obviously do that in the traditional way, so we have to do that in whatever way we can. For some of us, hopefully most of us, we have an opportunity to connect virtually through video chat as well as phone calls. And while phone calls are important, if you have the opportunity to connect by video chat and haven't done so yet, I just want to emphasize that for me, it's been really valuable to be able to see people's faces. I miss those faces, and just to be able to have a conversation where I can see the facial expression, where I can feel, their concern, and I could feel their care has made just a world of difference. And so it's also added to some normalcy. So if you haven't yet, but have the capability of doing so, really consider seeing people's faces during this time specifically. I've seen some fun videos and such of individuals who have been able to connect through windows. They visited their friends and mostly family members in assisted living facilities and things like that, where they have gone up to the window and been able to connect by seeing their face, even if they're talking on the phone. And that has made a big difference, because there's just something about getting to see someone's face that's different than just hearing their voice on the phone. But also, I have noticed that it has been critical for me to have the perspective of other people, to be able to talk through what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling during this time, because it's important for me not to just trust the voices that go on in my head. If I'm left to my own devices, I can build a narrative in my head about what's happening to me. I can be the victim of my own story. And it's easier for me to be able to face that and to expose those inner thoughts when I can bounce that off of somebody else. So it's really has been essential for me to continue to connect to my support team and to my friends and to my family, to be able to talk through what it is that I'm feeling, and to add some normalcy to that part of the process. Proverbs 19:20 says, "Listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end, you will be counted among the wise." And that just struck me as reminding me of how important it is to have other people's input in my life. And right now, the usual ways that I do that are all on hold. So I have had to recreate that. And that has been super helpful. So for me, facing my friends, it sounds a little bit ominous, but simply meaning getting my face in front of their face in any way that I can, and being able to stay connected, but also stay challenged during this time. The second way that I'm going to talk about facing COVID-19 is facing our feelings. So negative feelings will come. Especially right now, right? There's lots of potential negative feelings: anger, frustration, loneliness, boredom. There's a lot of negative things that are going to happen to us during this time. And in some cases, even worse things, if there is actual sickness happening and actual loss in our lives as a result of this situation, it can get even more serious. So these negative feelings are going to happen. The opportunity we have is to decide to face them head on. Was hearing that psychologists have studied it and determined that a panic attack has a maximum time frame of 25 minutes. So even a severe panic attack has a expiration date, has a time that it tends to cut off, because we can only sustain that level of anxiety for that period of time. The problem is when we have a fear, we have that anxiety, when we have those feelings, those negative feelings developing, we tend to think that they will never end. But the reality is they will end. And so if we try to avoid them, we try to ignore them, we try to distract ourselves from them, we try to make some other choice rather than to face them, we end up often making things worse for ourselves. And in those of us in recovery know this as much as anybody else, right? Because we have spent lifetimes developing ways of substituting another option rather than having to face our negative feelings. For me and my codependency, I would use control to try to do that and control my circumstances or manipulate the people around me to try to avoid those negative feelings. Perhaps you used other things to try to avoid those negative feelings. But whatever the case, during this season especially, we need to face those feelings head on. And we have to recognize that they are, maybe an indicator of something deeper that's happening, a warning light that might be going on, but they don't have to be something that we need to stay afraid of and to fight dealing with. We need to face them head on. One of John 8:32 says, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And I remember as a child I would hear this concept that the truth will set you free, and I feel like I always thought of it in terms of why I shouldn't lie. Like lying is bad, and the truth will set you free. And it's true when it comes to lying, because oftentimes when you tell a lie, you have to tell a lie after lie after lie in order to basically cover up the last lie. And telling the truth can set you free. But I've been thinking lately about how the truth will set you free when it comes to feelings as well, right? When it comes to what the narrative we tell in our head about what's happening based on those feelings, it's the truth that can set us free from that. And I really think now of, as much as any other time, if not more than other times, we're going to need to face what we're experiencing and compare that to the truth. Put it in line with the truth and determine, is this feeling representing truth, fact, reality, or is this feeling something more, something different? And if I face that feeling, I'll be able to figure out what is the truth of this situation. Am I okay? And and will I get through this? That's where the truth can set us free. And with that, when we face our feelings, we have to be kind to ourselves. This is something that comes up all the time when I talk to people. We struggle so hard for some reason to be kind to ourselves. And so this is an opportunity for us to pause and remember that we will have feelings and we will have failures during this time, and we'll have frustration and we'll lose our minds a bit. And so we have to be kind to ourselves. We have to acknowledge what it is that we are facing right now, that this is unprecedented, that this is stressful, that this is overwhelming at times. And so it's okay that we're going to have feelings. It's okay that those feelings are going to get the best of us. But if we face them, if we name them, if we let ourselves experience that and shine the light of the truth on it, we will get through it and we will come out on the other side. The third thing is to face your fears. This one has just been really kind of significant for me during this time. I remember when we had our New Year's lesson for Celebrate Recovery early this year. I remember saying that 2020 could be the best year ever. And right now I'm starting to think, can it still be the best year ever? And the answer is yes. And I'm reminding myself of that all the time. It can still be the best year ever. And the reason for that is what I said then is still true now. Circumstances don't dictate whether this can be the best year ever. And thank goodness for that, because circumstances would suggest this is not a great year. But the fact is, we, within those circumstances, we can still have the best year ever because of how we choose to respond to the circumstances that we are in. And that's the opportunity we have facing us now. How are we going to respond to what it is that we are facing? And the fact is, we can still dream big during this time, right? We are in the midst of something really challenging, but we don't have to put our life on hold. we don't have to put our recovery on hold. We don't have to put our dreams on hold. We can still set big goals for ourselves during this time. And in some ways, we may be able to achieve goals that aren't even practical at other times. So now is not the time to sit back and just try to push pause and wait this thing out. It is a time to face those fears and set a big goal for yourself. And I realized this because I am facing that fear that's in my life right now. This is an example of me facing that fear. I hate, and I've hated for most of my life, recording myself on video or basically any kind of audio recording. That's just because in my life, I experienced very early on that my voice exposed something about myself. I felt less than because my voice was not masculine enough. And so people made assumptions about me starting probably in about third or fourth grade. I started to get comments about being different and feeling that I wasn't, like everybody else because of what my voice said about me. And so I've had this insecurity about my voice this whole time. I remember I didn't want to have a video recording of my wedding because I was afraid of it catching me saying something, and I felt like I'd be uncomfortable with that. And so it's been a real, challenge for me. I can do the public speaking thing, but I hate the fact that it's recorded. So each week our CR lesson is recorded, and each week I know that there's this CD in the back that has my voice on it, and it, has led to a sense of anxiety. But when this happened, suddenly I was forced with an opportunity to put myself out there on video and put my voice out there on video. And it's a psychological challenge because obviously I know on some level that people hear me every day, and it's just that when I hear my voice, it doesn't sound the same as when I hear it on recording, because when it bounces around in my own head, I guess it comes out differently than what other people hear. And so just knowing that that's what people are hearing, it brings me some insecurities. And so for me, this has been a great opportunity for me to face that head on and say, you know what, I talk how I talk. I didn't pick my voice. So either I can stay quiet and let that insecurity win, or I can just put myself out there and know that, this is probably more of my issue than it is other people's issue anyway. And this is a great opportunity for me to face that fear. So I have definitely been recorded more in the last 2 weeks than probably my whole life put together, and certainly have exposed that recording in a new way. And it has been somewhat liberating to kind of do that. And while I don't think I'm a master video maker by any means, I feel like this is an opportunity for me not only to face that fear, but to make improvements in this new skill that I finally allowed myself to try out. So for me, this has been really a cool opportunity to say, hey, this self-isolation, quarantine, social distancing, whatever season is an opportunity for me to face this specific fear that I have in my life. So my question for you is, what fear could you be facing at this time? Obviously, if your fear is bungee jumping, you probably won't have a good opportunity to face that. But there are a lot of fears that we can face during this time. And what are you ready to face? What are you ready to push yourself to face? Some ideas I had would be, some people actually fear praying out loud in front of other people. That's something that they just, hate doing or haven't built up the confidence to do. Maybe now's the time for you to do that. Maybe it's a great opportunity to push yourself, to call a friend and ask them over the phone, hey, can I pray for you? Can I pray with you? And push yourself to pray out loud. And that might not only help you face your fear, it might be hugely impactful for that person. That person may be sitting there right now just, hoping to feel that sense of connection and long for that. And you might just be inspiring that person by facing that fear today. Some of us fear being vulnerable, and this is a great time to face that fear, because the fact is, in our typical life, we have lots of opportunities to distract ourselves or find ways of avoiding being vulnerable. But here we are, stuck in some ways, and maybe now's the time to put yourself out there, to contact somebody that you are able to share some stuff with, maybe connect with a sponsor or connect with a counselor, or connect with friends that you've already developed, and push yourself on how much you're willing to share about yourself. Maybe that this is the time to be more vulnerable. Maybe your fear is about completing an inventory. Maybe you're putting that off, and maybe you're in a step study right now and should be doing an inventory. So if that's you, if the inventory piece of the puzzle, connect with a sponsor, connect with someone to help you through that process, and take this time that you may be having. Some of us have extra time right now. Take that and face that fear of inventory. And some of us actually fear being alone with ourselves. We fear we're not comfortable in our own skin, and we just fear being alone with ourselves and our voices and our thoughts and our feelings. And so maybe for you, that's what this is about. Maybe when you walk out of this quarantine period, you can do so while feeling more comfortable in your own skin because you took the time to spend that time with yourself and take a good look at yourself and learn to like yourself because of that time and that investment. But those are just a few ideas that came to my mind. But if God is putting an idea in your mind right now, what is this thing that you could do, what you could invest in? Not, yes, projects are great. Hopefully you're cleaning out your basement or your closet. Hopefully you are finishing that craft project you started 6 years ago. It's great to do those things, but what is something you can do that's deeper for yourself, working on yourself, that you could overcome during this time? Um, Psalm 27:1 could encourage us here. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Now's the time, perhaps, to face that fear that you've been putting out. So, in summary, 3 areas for facing COVID-19: face your friends, face your feelings, face your fears. Love you guys. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. And enjoy every moment that you can of this process. And for the rest of them, trust God to be your strength in this storm.